All right, there we go. 1832. So what are we talking
Yep.
about? We were just talking about the good-natured ribbing between services and branches.
An
and all
army's
that
not here to
stuff.
represent.
Huh?
I said an army's not here to represent.
Yeah,
I barely represent the Navy as it is.
yeah, well,
Me too.
Well,
but
for the same reason. No, it's so funny. People will be like, "Were you in the Navy?" And I'm like, "Kinda." And they're like, "What does that mean?" It's like, well, see, I'm going to say yes, and then you're going to say, "What was it like on the ship?" And I'm going to say, "Well, I never was on one." They're like, "Oh, well, were you just at the base?" And I'm like, "No, I was with the Marines." And then they're like, "But I thought you said you were in the Navy." And I'm like, "See, this is why it's too hard to explain this shit to civilians."
try my
Because
try my story.
well,
Right?
yeah, I mean, yours is a little more complicated, but at least they don't get hung up in the rafters of, wait, you're in the Navy, but you're with Marine units and you're not a Marine. And
Yeah, mine was
what?
always, but what do you mean you weren't in the military? But you were at war. How did you wait, but you weren't in the military? What? I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You can see them just like twitching and fall over dead.
You can be a civilian and go to war?
Yeah, right.
Well,
Who knew?
the majority of warfighters end up being civilians,
Right.
unfortunately, if you really think about it.
Yeah, but it was kind of a unique thing, though. I think because I don't know anybody. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are other people, but I don't know another human being that came from where I came from and ended where I ended. You know what I mean?
I knew it. I knew one other guy that was pure civilian, but not like you at all. He was with Blackwater too. I don't know if either of you knew Oz, Bill Oznich. He was like he did EP work back in the day, and somehow he got over into Haiti. And so right when 9/11 kicked off, he went in and said, "Well, let me see if Blackwater picked me up." And sure enough, they did. He went through the vetting course and got picked up for State Department. And one of the, like you and him are pretty much some of the only pure civilians, like no military time, no cop time that I've ever met that did this stuff.
I probably did it better than him, though. If we're being fair.
Well, he had the rock star part of it down.
Rock star part.
I'm just gonna let that one slide. Maybe I'll say it more like how Booger gets it. He had the ocean side factor down.
The ocean side factor.
Hook now knows what I mean.
Ocean slide. Nothing like 3 a.m. Del Taco runs.
Yeah, and hookers and blow.
Yeah. And getting mugged in the casino parking lot.
Getting
right. Oh, that happens a lot to military, even Marines. When you're drunk as shit, you ain't fighting quite like you thought you were going to fight if you were sober.
No, usually not. Doesn't stop them from trying, though.
I mean, shit, did you see that video of those Marines getting their ass beat on the beach because they were asking some kids to stop shooting some fireworks in their direction or some shit?
No.
It was like two Marines, and they got ganged up by a whole bunch of teenagers. Like I think one of them was like even 17 and got charged as an adult, I think. But
oh wow,
yeah, they were like, there's video of them like getting stomped on, beaten and shit. And I'm just like, Jesus, what the hell? And I mean, I know a lot of people would be like, oh, these are Marines. Like, look, when you got like 30 fucking people around you and there's two of you, you might be in a losing battle no matter what their skill set is.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you're
ain't
going
much
to
you
get
can do when 10 guys come at you with a sheet.
Right.
Never mind that they probably were trying to practice some sort of restraint.
Right,
knowing
especially
that it's
after
kids.
Right. And especially after that guy in New York is getting charged for murder. It's like, what?
Yeah,
exactly. Reason to live in that fucking hellhole.
Well, shit, you got New York with that charge, right? Then you have somewhere in Texas, I want to say in Austin, where that Army veteran got charged, for shooting that BLM or no, that Antifa guy with the AK. And then
Yeah, but you're
one of
talking
my
about
but
Austin. You might as well be talking about fucking New York, you know?
Or
It's
I
all
know.
Portland.
liberal fucking cunts now.
that's what I'm saying. Like every state has a liberal stronghold.
Oh, yeah,
pretty much
absolutely.
around a major city.
Well, look at Atlanta, man. They control our voting power in the state of Georgia.
Oh
I
no,
mean, you know, you
it's
look at
crazy.
a fucking map of Georgia and the whole goddamn thing's one color, and then there's like two or three little dots, you know what I mean? And then they got all the votes.
That's
Yeah.
Virginia with Northern Virginia and Richmond.
Yep. Yep. You got a very small majority, stacked on top of each other in these cities that are making policy for everybody else throughout the state. And it's like bullshit.
Yeah. And it's
But
always the fucking liberal hubs, you know? I know a lot of people from like California, like on my side of the world, excuse me, on my side of the world, everybody thinks California is like the biggest liberal fucking douchebaggery in the world. You know what I mean? But realistically, like the majority of people that I've met from rural California are just like us.
oh
You know
yeah.
what I mean? They're fucking, they haven't lost their damn minds. You know what I mean? Drinking that fucking Kool-Aid.
I always say Northern
because I don't
California is
give a fuck who
California's
listens or
best
not,
kept secret.
I mean,
Yeah.
fuck, I don't care who hears this and gets pissed off or not, but fucking liberalism, man, I'm pretty sure there's a fucking, they're on the spectrum or something. You know what I mean? That's a verifiable level of retardation in there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's quantifiable. I had a buddy of mine that I grew up with, and I love him like no other, man. I mean, we've been friends for over 40 years. Grew up together. His family was very impactful on me as a child. Really good people, and he's a Democrat. And he and I were talking on the way out here, and I consider myself a conservative on most issues, but I understand some of the Democratic viewpoints. And I've argued this with people. Like, I see no reason why we can't offer a free education and free health care and take care of the homeless and take care of the veterans. You know what I mean? Like, we have enough money to do these things if we'd stop fucking around and sticking our nose in shit and giving it away to all the corrupt bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, there's enough money if you just do it right. You know what I mean? Stop giving goddamn grants to people to study the fucking flow of ketchup in Indochina. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
have you seen all that fucking stupid shit they give money out for? Like, it's fucking ridiculous, man. So I understand the idea of helping people and having social programs, and I think they're valuable. I don't see why we just can't do that. Like, we don't have the money to do that, but let Ukraine call and say we need a fucking couple hundred tomahawks, and we just got the money laying in a goddamn envelope beside the bed. You know what I mean? Like,
The first person who brought my attention to that was Jason Ingram. I remember we were chatting, when we have to do that ground guide back from the fuel point over at Lindsay. So he and I were chatting, and I was talking about the drug testing, necessary for welfare recipients. And he's like, man, why are you so concerned about that? That's a waste of money. And I'm like, well, they're getting money from the government. I kind of think that maybe they should piss test it. And he goes, all right, is anybody piss testing all those politicians? And I'm like, yeah, probably a good fair point, And then he said, welfare for the American people, like you take all of the people that are on welfare. And he says, that's a drop in the bucket of piss compared to corporate welfare. And then he started talking about the billions and billions of dollars that was going out just, from taxpayers to corporate welfare. And after seeing all these bailouts and shit, you have to go, yeah, Jason makes a good point. I mean, shit. We could fund fucking welfare and free tuition for college and all this shit. If we just cut off businesses and say, hey, there's no such thing as too big to fail.
look at the idea of the goddamn churches being tax exempt. And then you got
Yeah.
motherfuckers like Joel Osteen and all these
Yeah.
other motherfuckers living in $20 million. What's that cat on fucking TV? The one, God, what's his fucking name? He was talking about all the private jets that he has. He
Billy
said he bought
Graham?
Tyler Perry's.
No, Billy Graham didn't talk about that.
No, it was fucking.
Olstein was one of them for sure.
No, this cat was a different one. He has like 3 private jets, and he bought one from Tyler Perry for like 20 something $million. You know, there's a cat in Gainesville, Georgia. My wife likes to watch him, but Franklin Jensen, I think is his name. And I don't quote me on this, but you know, they wanted to reach out and spread the word, you know, get it out to the people who hadn't heard it, like the ones in California.
Right.
You know, not the ones in the next town over, you know, the ones out in California that hadn't heard his message. But, you know, in order to get that church going in California, it's kind of hard to fly a commercial. And, you know, he prayed about it and God wanted him to have that private jet so he could make it back and forth between the churches because people need to hear his word, you know, which I totally agree with, by the way. I think we should all have private jets. I'm like L. Ron Hubbard, man. I'm gonna start a fucking religion. I'm just gonna come out with something and just say some off the wall fucking shit and get people to fucking believe it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It helps if you get Tom
all the
Cruise on
shit
your
they
side
believe
too.
in Scientology?
Yeah, right.
Like you're removing the spirits that came out of the volcanoes. That's how you realign your fucking chi or whatever. You know what I mean? You got to pay to get to the next levels, and at the next level, they remove another demon that came out of a volcano and possessed you, or some bullshit. It's fucking crazy shit, dude.
Gotta love it.
And then when you get to the top level, it's probably like, you know, all that shit we told you. No,
Bullshit.
we were kidding. Yeah, we were kidding.
But since you made it here, we're going to do a co-op now.
Yeah.
Thanks for buying
like-
my books.
I expect Al Gore to be up there too. You know what I mean?
God, the biggest charlatan this century has seen.
And people still
Yeah.
buy that fucking climate shit, man.
Shit, they're
Even
losing
after,
their fucking shit over it.
even after, you know what I mean? Like even after it, man. I saw a cat
Well,
on
they're-
fucking TikTok today arguing with not Ben Shapiro, but one of those cats, you know, and he was arguing with him about the climate change, and he was quoting like he just got done watching that Al Gore movie, and it was like he's like every scientist in the world believes in global warming, and every scientist in the world has come out and said, you know what I mean, and all this shit. He was quoting data that was like from the 1970s and 80s, you know.
And they make it sound like science is like some kind of democracy, like the most votes gets, you know, it's like, no, okay. That's not how science works. I mean,
No.
if your shit doesn't stand up to scrutiny, then guess what? It's flawed fucking theory. And basing it on computer modeling kills me because I'm like, oh,
The
so you've
scientific
accounted for all the
process.
data points.
The scientific process demands that you have a controlled study.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how you gonna do that? We think this, we think that, and everybody jumps on the fucking bandwagon. Just something else they're selling.
Yeah. Yeah.
In that conversation the other day about the electric cars, you know, and everybody wants an electric car, and everybody wants an electric car because they're better for the environment. And the truth is, they're fucking not. They
Oh,
make
God,
you feel better about your part of the environment if you're a fucking idiot.
Well, it is literally the climate change equivalent of picking up your rug and sweeping all the shit under there and saying, okay, now it's out of sight, out of mind. You know, it's like, I'm not putting this poison fuel into my car anymore. Now I plug it in with this free electricity.
Yeah, that
First
just
of all, it's
came
not
from,
free.
just came from God. Electricity
Right.
was just there.
Yeah.
It was just there.
Like, if you want really free electricity, fucking go rub your feet on the carpet a few times, zap it to a battery and see if it charges. Just keep doing that and tell me how it works out for you.
Yeah. It's just free.
Fly
It's
a
just
kite.
free.
Yeah.
With a
Old
key
school
on
right
the end.
there.
With
Yeah,
a key on
right.
the end.
Yeah.
Skeleton key. It's got to be the skeleton key.
Yeah, you're right. It's got to be the old skeleton key.
I'm getting some good thunder going on outside right now. I can go test it.
I got
Oh,
some
come
going
on.
on here too.
That'll make for great view lips.
Right.
And people will be like, "Oh shit! Did you see Boogs get fucking electrocuted?"
He just
Sam!
vaporizes, just gone.
Well, according to the cartoons, wouldn't all his fur just like shoot out like this? And
It could, I expect it to be feathers at some point. I'm going to be very disappointed if he doesn't have feathers.
Let me change topic and I go back to normal.
right, right.
Yeah.
Iris eyes are watching. I can't believe you didn't know what I was talking about. At the moment I said it, I saw Jack Palance doing that song in Young Guns when they're in the pub, and he's Doc was trying to take the Chinese girl and get her to sneak off with him, and they were downstairs singing, and that's what he was singing.
Dude, I wouldn't doubt if it's been 25 years since I last watched Young Guns.
Me too. Probably me too. But I probably saw it 100 times in a row before that.
I'm going to give mine a dozen. I might have seen it a dozen times, but for some reason, I couldn't remember that song sticking out like that to me.
I've seen Young Guns within the last year at the hotel.
Oh, I was going to say, how the hell did you pull that one off?
You got to catch up on some old shit when you're at a hotel, though. It's fucking hockey or Young Guns at 2 a.m.,
I started watching the Game Show Network out there. So now that's like the background that I watch all the time when I'm working because it's just mindless. So then I'm just learning all this useless trivia. It's great.
That's
awesome. See, me, the only way I get my mind to shut down when I'm like off at a hotel somewhere else is I'll put it on MTV at like 11 o'clock at night and I'll watch ridiculousness, like fucking just streaming it, just fucking straight. I'm like, oh yeah, and then
is that the one where they show the videos and like the chicks on the couch with some dude every time?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Her laugh is annoying, but
yeah, Chanel West Coast.
Yeah,
and it was going around for a while where people thought she was a tranny, like she used to be a boy because there was this young kid that looked kind of like her. I mean, in a sense, and they were like, did he become a she? Like they were trying to figure it out. It's like, no, it just happens to look similar.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
As long as it's not competing on a women's swimming, I'm okay with it.
Right.
God, did you see that the women's professional team or not professional? I think
soccer.
they were the Olympic team.
Got
beat by retired fogies, retired old dudes for the win.
They want equal pay. I don't know why they don't have it already. Ask Bill Burr why they don't fucking have
it. He's ruthless about it too.
Oh, he's fucking sick, dude. Oh, that motherfucker. I like him.
We're trying to get tickets for that Matt Rife. He's coming here sometime in July.
Was that you that told me about him?
He's pretty funny.
Might have been. I've sent a couple of his videos.
Yeah, we put up a few videos of his.
Yeah, it was on the other chat channel, and somebody showed one of his clips. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? So he came back with Matt Rife, and I was like, so I watched his first episode.
Yeah, I just saw a promo yesterday for his world tour. I don't know if you've seen that promo. It's got Ashton Kutcher in it.
Oh, really?
Maybe they're friends. And he's like rubs a bottle and out pops a genie, but it's Ashton Kutcher. He's like, why would you pick Ashton Kutcher? He said, man, it was the 90s. It was like this was hot back then. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny because they're like gigging on each other. Like it's not him, but it is,
Right.
Yeah. No, he should be pretty good. And I think I'm gonna go see Bert Kreischer again in November.
That dude's fucking funny too.
Oh, he's worth it. The machine.
The machine.
I just can't do the crowds like that, man.
Well, last time we went, we went to, what was it, the Chrysler Center, I think, in Norfolk. And so I picked seats that were up on the balcony, and it was just 2 seats that went back along that row. So it was just Iris and I, and then just people in front of us. So it wasn't like a big old long row of people getting up and down. And then we had the door to exit right there.
I think one of the last concerts I ever went to was Metallica when they did their Black album. They came through, and
Oh,
Corrosion opened for them. It was a good show.
I watched
You
them in
realize that would have
Hawaii.
been like 30 years
Might not have
ago,
been the
right?
Black album. It might have been dang, I mean, what was the other one?
It's like the Black Album came out in like 93, I think.
Yeah,
More
I
like
think that was
92.
about when I saw them. Actually, probably was because it was the last show before they tore down the Omni in Atlanta.
That's funny because I saw it was a clip that said that if Back to the Future was filmed now, they would be going back to 1993 because they went from 85 to 55. So it'd be from 23 to 93 would be the equivalent. I was like, fuck, that is not even.
right?
Now we're
That's
old.
so not cool.
Now
That is
we're
not
old.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, but then they were talking about because
I
you
bet
know
it
when he
was the
went
Black
back,
album. I'm thinking it was because I would have been 20 years old in '93.
and the clip did this. It said that you know when he went back, the first song that Marty heard was Mr. Sandman. So if they went
Yeah.
back to
Oh, interesting.
'93, they'd hear Enter Sandman. I was like, that's pretty cool.
You know, I could see a reboot being done like that. I could actually
Right?
appreciate that.
I mean, our generation would dig it. They'd be like, they're going back to '93. That's that's my time right there.
Right, I know.
All the girls are gonna have their hair poofed out in the front. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Were they still poofy like that?
Yeah, it was the '80s then. I don't know if it was back in the '90s. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was
Like
transitional.
school, I remember in school they all had that shit. Their hair was all
93
like straight and
was,
curly, and then they had that bangs all poofed up in the
that was
front.
the height of the grunge phase.
Yeah.
See, I was in the Navy at that time, so I was seeing a whole different spectrum of people. Like, yeah,
All
I
dressed
didn't.
in blue.
Well,
Yeah.
there was a lot of that. There was a lot of that, but no, I mean, like I was out in San Diego. I don't know him. I mean, I know who he is, but I don't know him.
Wasn't he in the Navy like a diver or something?
Yeah, Carl Bashir. Yeah, that might have been a portrayal. I'm just spitballing here, but it might have been a portrayal.
I don't know.
No, I saw Metallica
Real
out in
to me.
Hawaii. Bianca got me tickets, and it was right after they did their S&M album out of San Francisco, where they performed with that live symphony.
Right.
And dude, they had Monster Magnet opening for them at that show. Dude, it was fucking killer. It was a killer show. I was hoarse as soon as I left that auditorium.
They put on a good show. I saw a lot of people play, man.
I've only seen one other band.
Like 93.
I saw
93
Rick
or
Springfield
94.
do Jesse's Girl.
Holy shit.
No kidding. He was at Midtown Music Festival in Atlanta one year when we were down there. Saw
That's
Kid
pretty
Rock
funny.
do Ba with a Ba. Stood stage side for that one. He still had the little midget dude up there with him back then.
Oh
Do they
yeah.
prefer dwarf? What's the appropriate vernacular now?
And I think he was an actual midget. What was
Little
his name? He
person?
ended up,
Little person?
well, yeah.
Little fuckers?
Yeah, shit, what was his name? Little fuckers. Yeah, he ended up passing away. Some sort of complications of his littleism stuff.
That happens. That happens to most little people and big people. You know, the
Yeah.
extraordinarily tall. It's like,
Yeah. They don't
Was,
last.
was it the big people end up suffering from what is it, Marfan syndrome with like the heart or some shit?
yeah, because it's something to do with like how their hormones don't regulate like their organs as well, or something like that. Kind of sucks, but I'm sure we'll get that all figured out in the next 20 years with CRISPR. That's what they keep telling me.
I got told one time that I had a big heart by a cardiologist. What, enlarged heart? He said, your heart's bigger than it's supposed to be. I said, so are my fucking feet. I mean, if you're comparing the size of anything on me to the normal population, you know what I mean? Like,
It's all gonna be big.
yeah, I wear a 14 double E.
Jesus Christ, Flipper.
Should we call a fucking podiatrist? You know what I mean? Like, and tell him I've got abnormally large feet. Like, I know my heart's bigger. So is my fucking brain, so are my hands. The only thing that ain't is, well, you know.
I hate the look of the Irish.
Can't get it past my knee. Dang. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so funny to me that people say, well, because they use that standard, heart rate should be 60 to 100 beats per minute. Yours is 47. You're gonna be, it's like, yeah, not now. I mean, back when we ran all the time, you know what I mean?
Right.
Well, and then if you plug in,
they're
your height and everything, it's probably telling you that you're probably like 100 pounds overweight.
Oh, I am. I've been obese since I was fucking 12 years old, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, hell, my 16-year-old. Did you guys see the photos did I show you all those photos?
I didn't get to see a contrast.
He's like 6'4", like 215, and he's 16 years old. Told my wife that's what I would have looked like if somebody give me food when I was younger.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it just, it's funny when people say, something like that. It's like you're taking the average, 90% of the population. You're leaving 2% on the bottom and 2% on top, whatever, or 5% on the bottom. So yeah, most people fall in this category, but most people don't have 20-inch arms. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I mean, yeah, I know there's some things on me that have
well, it's one thing for them to say it like just matter of factly. It's another thing to say it like, oh, this is a concern.
Yeah, accusatory, like I'm dying or something. It's like your heart's
right. It's like
bigger than everybody else. I know.
You have one data point. You have one data point here, and that's what you're hooked on. That's the only thing you're hooked on right now. Guiding my healthcare hereafter is
most people's heart is
big
this
heart.
big. You know what I mean? So if mine's this big, there's something wrong.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I remember one of the things we used to do when we were writing soap notes was put WNL for within normal limits.
Yeah.
And I did that one time, and the doctor I was answering to, he's like, "What's this?" And I said, "Within normal limits." And he goes, "What's normal?" And I said, "Well, isn't it like the average or like, and he goes, "Okay, everybody's an individual. So it has to be compared to, like, if it's his right knee is big, well, what's the comparison? It's going to be his left knee. That's not big. But if you're comparing to everybody else's knee, well, now you got a problem because not everybody's knee looks the same." And he goes, "So WNL means we never looked, just so you know." I'm like, noted. And he actually taught me a lot about how to really go about thinking about how you're presenting a case, because just because
realistically you hadn't looked.
I looked, but I was also being lazy. I mean, it was one of those things where, there's a lot of, another mistake people will get into in writing their notes is throwing in a lot of shit that doesn't mean anything to the person's healthcare, going forward. And I'm sure you saw that as a paramedic.
Stormy night.
Dude, I told you about that motherfucker who wrote his resume like that in Blackwater, right?
No.
Oh, dude. Shit you not. And, this guy.
I got one. Remind me, I got one. Go ahead.
So I was helping out. This was after I already graduated, and I was waiting for my clearance to come back. So me and the instructors were cleaning out their filing cabinets. And one of the guys, he starts looking at some of the resumes, and he goes, "Holy fuck, you guys got to hear this." And we all stop. We're like, "All right, what?" So he starts reading this motherfucker, and it started off like it was a dark and stormy night on this day in, some province in Afghanistan.
Oh,
and
Lord.
He literally talked about the entire firefight that was going on around him, except for what he did in it. He talked about his, sergeant. He talked about his squad mates. I mean, all these people that were just kicking ass in this firefight in Afghanistan. And we're all like, "But what the fuck did you do? Were you fucking writing the book at the time?" I mean,
he was the scribe.
Right? It's like, what the fuck were you doing, though? And how did somebody let you in Blackwater with this as your resume? So yeah, no shit.
We had
I mean,
this
he turned out to be a good enough dude.
the one we had wasn't. So
Oh, you
we're
ended
in
up meeting
Nangarhar.
him?
We're in
Oh, yeah.
Nangarhar.
He was on my team in on the ambassadors detail.
Oh, wow.
I gave him shit for it too.
Rightfully so.
We get this cat, and I can't not remember his fucking name. It doesn't matter. Fuckhead. We call him Fuckhead. So Fuckhead shows up in Nangarhar, and at like 1600 every afternoon, maybe it was 17, I don't remember. I would put on a mixed martial arts class, and 4 or 5 people would, 6 people would show up. You know what I mean? And I'd teach them. One day I'd teach them a Kimura. One day I'd teach them an omoplata. Well, you know, whatever. And we'd work through different strikes and different techniques. And so one of my buddies tells me one day, he said, "Hey, that new guy said he could beat your ass," something like that. What? Yeah, he said he'd been watching you up there in the gym and you suck and all this shit. You know what I mean? So they're trying to get me spun up. So I go over to the guy. I'm like, "Hey, you know what's going on here?" He's like, "No, no, man, I didn't say that." So he starts spinning this story about how he trains fighters back home in like fucking Oregon, Washington State, some fucking where. But he trains fighters, so he's a great fighter. He'd like to work with me. That's what he said. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, yeah, no problem. Maybe we should spar one day. He says, "Yeah, no problem." So the next afternoon, we're up at the fucking gym, and he comes out and he gets all ready and blah, 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 blah. Are you ready? Yeah, all right. Bam, I break 2 of his fucking ribs. First strike. I mean, just fucking first strike. So he's collapsed on the damn floor. He's like a whiny little bitch. I mean, it wasn't even 3, it was just 2. But anyway, so that was the one thing. So then, like later on, we're doing this. I think it was Tommy. What was one-legged Tommy's name?
Cullinan.
Cullen. It was Tommy Cullen.
Yeah.
Yep. So Tommy, me and Tommy were training every day. He was a wonderful boxer. I don't know if you know how Tommy really well, but his hands, man, he was so fast. And so Tommy's working drills with me in the mornings and stuff. And so, but Tommy's wife was like, I think it was Tommy's wife anyway, was like a school teacher in like Charleston. And so one of the things that she had gotten these like 3rd grade kids or whatever to do was send all these cards. And they were all cards like, "Thank you, soldiers, for protecting us," you know, that kind of stuff, you know, like finger
You
paint.
always get a good one in there from like Little Johnny's, like kill lots of Taliban.
Yeah. So as a thank you, we're all on the steps, right? And we're doing a team photo. And this fucking retard that I done crushed, right? He's sitting there. I don't even know where in the fucking photo, but he's got a damn black hat, looks like a skull cap, like a watch cap kind of rolled up, right? Nobody's thinking nothing about it. Everybody ready? Roger that. They go to snap the photo. This piece of shit pulls a balaclava down over his face, right? So now everybody's pissed off because when the photo finally shows up, it's got this fucking retard sitting there with a fucking ninja mask on. You know what I mean? And so they're like, "What the fuck, dude? Why would you do that?" He's like, "Well, I can't have my picture taken." Like, what? He says, "Yeah, I can't have my picture taken." Okay.
Why?
Why the fuck would you sit down? But no, because he was involved in some super secret squirrel shit, right?
Of course.
So then why the
G14
fuck show up to the photo
It was
shoot?
G14
That's-
classified. So later on, after he gets run off because they find out he's a fucking idiot, right? It wasn't very long, trust me.
Yeah, I was gonna say this guy doesn't
He,
sound like
he
it
gets a
takes long.
fucking aisle or window. He's done. But then we find out shit like we started hearing back from Moyop that they were out on a range and they actually said something to him because he was policing his own brass. And they said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I can't have my fingerprints on the brass left behind and all." I mean, he was like fucking, I'm like, how in the fuck did he even get on the program? You know what I mean? Like that fucking Chris Duty. Y'all know that piece of shit?
Oh. No.
Which
He
one?
was,
The ninja dude?
No, no, no. There's another guy.
No,
Chris
that
Duty.
was Jindo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Shido.
Oh God, fucking samurai sword. He literally walked through the embassy with a fucking samurai sword on his back. It's like, really, really, just gonna fucking clear corners with a fucking ninja sword.
Oh
Got him.
man, the shit people used to get away with is fucking amazing.
Well, and then he got called out for being a fraud back at like his dojo and like where was it, like Kentucky or someplace?
Tennessee or to Kentucky. It was one of those.
Yes, yeah.
It was
Where
in
all
that
the real
area.
ninjas are from, you know.
Which,
Yeah, he
funny
got
enough,
called
that's where
out
that
on, like,
piece
a
of
lot of
shit
martial
Yeager,
arts.
that guy Yeager was from. James Yeager. He was from like Tennessee. Fucking piece of shit cop out there in Tennessee.
James Yeager, which one was he?
Why does
He
that
was the
sound so
one.
familiar?
He was the one who dipped out on his crew on Route Irish attack. Remember the Mercedes that came to a halt? Yeah, he fucking bailed and ran across the fucking median away from the fucking firefight, left his boys behind.
Hmm.
I think
You remember that client we had with USACE when we took him out in the range, the black kid? I think he was from Detroit somewhere.
You called him Princess, right?
Yeah. You remember when we went out there and we fucking walk them through? I don't know if you were there then. We walk them through, right? We're doing drills.
Yeah.
And so we're doing like a box formation, whatever. And we got guns up and everything, and we're dry firing a few rounds, trying to acclimate the client to what's going to happen.
Right.
Shit kicks off. And so we run through it, okay, and we're just doing the motions. We're just dry firing everything. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Contact front. Bang, bang, bang. You know what I mean? Well, then we go red. And we everybody starts fucking, and as soon as that Ma Deuce kicked off, that motherfucker hit the fetal position and collapsed on the ground in a fucking ball. So now I'm sitting here like fucking, yep. All right, hold on. What the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, we talked about this.
I had to double check our interpreter in Mosul when we got hit with that complex attack. Because when there was a lull in the gunfire and I got over the radio and called it back into the talk, all of a sudden I hear screaming coming from the back of my vehicle. And I went around and it was our interpreter sitting there just laying on the ground with his hands over his head. Just like, I thought he was hit. So I ended up like, Fred, are you hit? And I'm doing a blood sweep of him. Realized that he's just combat worthless at this point. So I'm like, dude, get in the fucking truck. Took the saw from him and went back to the hood.
Man, that's crazy.
That's fucking funny, man. It's always
Some
the
people
ones
don't like
that
the
talk
two-way
most,
range.
too. You know what I mean? It's always the ones that fucking talk. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That's the ones
They
that
always
always
get-
they never can do it. You know what I mean? The talkers.
and that's why I don't like spilling out my fucking resume every time I'm running into a new group of guys. Because like, well, we're all obviously here for a reason. Whoever's brought us here together better know that we all deserve to be here. You know, that's my first rule. You know, now I know some guys just like to make small talk, just kind of figure guys out. Like, okay, does this guy think more like a Marine? Does he think more like a Ranger? And I'm cool with that. I mean, you know, although once you've been doing this for long enough, I mean,
was he eating crayons?
yeah, right. Right. But when you get the guys, as soon as you meet them, it's like you fucking hear the resume. It's like, hey, cool story. Over at Group 7, I'm sure they do shit fucking tight. Where are you at now, motherfucker? Where the fuck are you at right now? Are you at Group 7? No, you're here at Blackwater. Try our fucking SOPs for a change. Shut up. Everybody knows you deserve to be here. Get it. Shut the fuck up and move on.
That was me and Gunny,
That's
man. I was a TL in Kabul. And I got George, and he was like 20 something, 30 years Marine Corps.
Yeah.
You know, master guns, and I mean he was fucking no bullshit. I mean just fucking, you know what I mean? Like he was goddamn, that motherfucker ironed his shoelaces. You know what I mean? And dude, me and him about went to blows in the fucking parking lot. He could not stand taking orders from me. I mean, he was just the worst at it. And I went to Joe Redmond and told Joe Redmond, I said, you got to get him off my team. I can't deal with him. And I'm gonna give Joe Redmond credit for that. He sat me down and he had a talk with me there about being a proper leader and about how reaching back and dealing with things. And I mean, it made me feel like fucking shit because I was just done with this cat and I was just tossing him away and I was just, this ain't working. We're done. You know what I mean?
Right.
And because of that, I went to George. We called him Gunny, even though he wasn't a gunny. He was a master. You know what I mean? But
Master Guns.
yeah. But he didn't like that. He wanted to be called Gunny, so we called him Gunny. But anyway, I went to him and me and him sat down by ourselves, and I said, "Look, we got to start all over." So I realized that you don't want to take orders from me. I was never in the military. I get that, but this ain't the military, and I may not know how to fold a fucking sheet. You know what I mean? I may not can make a fucking rack, but I know how to do this shit. And he and I sat there and talked, man, and that wound up being one of the best friends I ever had. And it was probably about a year later, we're running missions and we're outside and we're both talking about this fucking, here, Bohica, you know what I mean? It's just, we keep getting it, And he walks over to me and he said, "You know what's goddamn funny to me, Doc?" I said, "What?" He said, "All these motherfuckers out here, and you're the most tactically sound motherfucker here, and you never even were in a fucking uniform." You know what I mean? I mean, they were just a fucking shit show. You know some of the people we had.
Oh yeah.
But me and him wound up being best friends, man. I love that dude like no other. But we got off to a very rocky start because he was still thinking he was in the service, you know what I mean? And he didn't want to take orders from somebody, fuck me, you know what I mean? It was tough.
That was something I used to take great pleasure in, walking around Baghdad, working right there near the embassy and at the man camp, is you'd see all these senior officers, right, Bugs? And you'd come out and I'd pass by some colonel and be like, "What's up, dude?" And they just look at me and they'd be like, you could see them gritting their teeth like, "I know this motherfucker was an E5 less than a year ago and he's just calling me dude." And you can just see it just rubs them the wrong way, but I love watching that look just hit their face just like,
You also like getting into arguments in the fucking chow hall too, didn't you cunt?
I get into arguments pretty much everywhere I go, so you're gonna have to be a little more specific.
I'm talking when at one time they told you to take your fucking cover off. We were in there together. And they told you to take your fucking cover off and you shit the fucking bed. And then there was another time where you had your M9 was showing red, and they thought it was a goddamn safety. They didn't realize. Yeah. And you shit the fucking bed. I don't know why I got such a bad rep. I was always bailing you out of shit.
Dude, the best one, I thought it was you that was with me, but it might have been somebody else. It might have been after you actually left. No, you didn't leave until we moved over to Kandahar, right?
Correct.
So when we were over in Lindsay, remember that one Army unit that had that sergeant major? He was a gray-haired, kind of lean guy, but they were, I want to say they were a line unit or something like that.
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
At any rate, this sergeant major, we're in the chow hall, and whoever it was I was with, he sits down. And so I'm coming around, and this sergeant major is getting ready to sit down with either a light colonel or a colonel. It might have been a light colonel, but they were both in PT gear getting ready to sit down. And so as I turn in between the tables, how there's that walkway. As I turn to go up the walkway to go sit next to my buddy, freaking this sergeant major takes his M4 off like this and then sweeps me with the barrel head to toe with the thing. And I just stopped. I've got my tray in my hands like this. And I just stop and I go, "Fucking really?" And he's like, "What?" And I said, "I don't know. Treat your fucking weapon like it's loaded at all times. Don't point it at what you don't intend to destroy." That kind of shit. And he just looks at me and he goes, "Oh." So I moved past him, and set my tray down, and I'm literally sitting right behind him. So he leans back over like this, and he goes, "Well, technically, it's unloaded." And I said, "Are we fucking doing this? Are we seriously fucking doing this in the chow hall?" And this motherfucker just clams up like, "Nope, nope."
No, I'm pretty sure that was me.
So it was you there.
I'm pretty sure that was me.
Yeah.
It may not have been, but I remember something similar to that. So if it wasn't that, it certainly was something very akin to it. But you had a reputation, man, for rubbing the motherfuckers the wrong way, and for some reason, most of those pricks like me. And I
No.
said some nasty fucking shit to people, dude.
You said things that made other people laugh, even if it didn't make the person that was the subject laugh, but it made other people laugh. And it's really hard to thwart that. Whereas me, I didn't go for the humor factor. I went for the fucking just bull in a china shop factor. And of course, yeah, that was kind of bad of me. I see the error in my ways now.
No, you don't. You just got banned off goddamn Xbox again.
Okay, Xbox doesn't count. I don't have to deal with those fucking twats.
Fucking counts. Yeah.
That's what 3 in 1 month I've been banned.
God damn it, we're never gonna play.
I gotta stop texting shit.
You know what's
You're gonna find
funny
my
is
cables
like,
for
look
mine.
at us. We're fucking 50 years old, and we're out there fucking running around goddamn Warzone games, shooting fucking kids. You know, and half of them are like, where were we at the other day? Where we were? Remember when we were somewhere and somebody said something about being old? I was like, how old are you? And he said, what did he say? Like 40?
I thought he said 30 something.
39, 37. I don't remember. And I was like, holy fucking shit, dude. We're like 50.
Yeah.
Like what? Like they were just blown away that they had old dudes in there, you know what I mean? Running around getting on all those kids.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so
I
funny
don't know how I
because
feel about somebody that's in their 30s thinking that we're old.
I know,
that kind
right?
of bugs me.
Well, I mean, we just did Back to the Future. I don't know how much more proof you need. We're old.
yeah, I know.
Well, but I'm the youngest of all of us, though, because I graduated in '97. So
Holy
I'm,
shit.
I'm still in my 40s, but
Yeah.
Technically, I am too. I'm 49.
I was gonna say, yeah, you haven't hit 50 yet.
I just look 70.
Yeah, I'm 51.
My wife,
So I'm the old
has,
man.
her medical assistant, has a daughter. I don't know if I told you this story. She's like 6 years old, this little girl, and so she's sitting on my wife's lap at work the other day, and my daughter had graduated high school, so they're looking at photos of my daughter, and so she's scrolling through my wife's phone. Oh, she's pretty. Oh, she's pretty. And then she gets to a picture of me, and she stops. She's looking at it. She looks up at my wife. She's looking back at it. She goes, "Who is this?" My wife says, "That's my husband." She looks at it. She goes, "You married Santa Claus?" This 6-year-old kid.
That's awesome.
So now I've got this idea. I don't know if I told you, but I'm thinking about like doing like a dirty Santa thing where I'm going to bachelorette parties and like stripping. You with me, Dale? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you could be my elf, right?
I'm more likely to be passable for a reindeer.
I'll be the guy that takes the Polaroids.
Yeah,
Unless we're being ironic with Elf.
we were. But you still got to dress like Buddy the Elf.
And get just as excited.
Dentist school, right? I want to
If
be
your
a dentist.
excitement level doesn't match his, then you're not doing it right.
Oh no, you got to nail that zeal he had. That low key gay vibe he had going on.
I think that's
So,
just Will Ferrell.
anybody
I don't
out there
think that was
needs
Buddy the Elf.
Anybody out
Oh,
there
wait.
needs a big old tattooed Santa stripper?
See, I was saying,
I am available.
what was the name of that elf in what was it, Frosty or Rudolph the Red? I was thinking about that claymation one that you were talking about, the elf.
Yeah, I was talking about the Will Ferrell elf.
Oh, the Will Ferrell elf. See, I'm horrible with names. I was talking about this with my wife just the other day. It was like, yeah, I used to get Marines all the time. They'd be like, "Hey, Doc," and I'd be like, "What's up, Devil Dog?" "Hey, Marine." My wife was like, "Who the fuck are those guys?" And I'm like, I don't have a fucking clue. They're probably in my unit. You know,
Oh
they
man,
obviously recognize me.
that's gotten so bad with me. And like everywhere we go, somebody will come up and start talking to me. And I'm like, hey, how are you? Oh yeah, no, it's been a while. Yeah, how? Yeah, good. Mm-hmm. And then I look at my wife, and she goes, "You don't know who it was, do you? I ain't got a fucking clue." Like, I'm just,
Nope.
I got a buddy of mine that used to cut my hair, and I bet I've met his wife half a dozen times, and every single time I forget her name. I don't know who she is. I look at her and I say, man, she looks familiar. And I'll look at my wife and I say, who is that? Do we know her? And she's like, are you serious? Like, you've literally met her half a dozen times. Can't, for some reason, it doesn't stick.
Yeah, that's pretty much me.
Well, I kind of feel bad because just the other day we were talking on the other chat group, and Michael was talking about being on the ambassador detail, and I was like, "Oh yeah, when were you on that?" I said, "I was there with Negroponte," and he goes, "Yeah, I was on the detail with you, dummy." And I'm like, "You were?"
Whoops.
I'm like, now I'm trying to rack my brain, like, I fucking know Micah, like, fuck. I'm
Like
like,
that?
so I'm like, but you know, I mean, that accounted for like, 4 or 5 months before I got transferred up to Sulaymaniyah. So I'm just like, you're asking me to recall something for like 4 or 5 months that happened way back in 2004, and I'm sorry, man, I got nothing. I'm coming up empty right now, and I feel a little shitty about it. But then again, I'm looking at his picture of him now. I'm like, dude, I don't even look like I used to back then.
Yeah.
One of my
Yeah,
buddies
well, he-
came in the Mexican restaurant when I was at home one time. He had a beard about like mine. You hear the rain?
No, I can't hear it.
Oh,
And
I've got rain
I was
here.
like, holy crap, because I hadn't seen him in probably 20 years. And I look at my wife and I said, wow, he got old. And she said, so did you? And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. In my head, I still see the other guy. You know what I mean?
Well, shit, Books, whenever you put up a picture of you back in the day from Blackwater, I'm looking like, okay, which one is Boogie? Which one? And I'm like, I think that one is the closest because you look
Yeah.
really different.
Oh yeah. No, I've definitely, I look way different than I used to for sure. But I mean, I was a fucking kid when I first went over. I mean, I had just turned 25 when I went on my first deployment with BW.
Oh, holy shit. You were a kid.
Yeah. No, I mean, shit. So, well, yeah, because 25 to 35 is, pretty much what I worked. So, yeah, I was a baby.
Yeah, I didn't show up until, well, I got there when I was 32. Yeah, I was 32 when I got with Blackwater. Damn, man. Fuck, if they do it Back to the Future, I might be depressed.
I know.
Like,
You're getting
wait,
old.
that's 30 years ago? Fuck, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. Fucking wild. Yeah, I probably
Well,
got maybe about 10 more minutes at most.
I was about to say we're going to start thinking about wrapping this one up. So,
Well,
Oh, show.
yeah, at least we finally got to sit down, and even though it kind of broke my pinky promise to people out there, at least we're working on it, and
Yeah. Hopefully Animal starts feeling better soon.
yeah, I know he's been dealing with a lot, so it'll be good to have him back in the fold whenever he's available, whenever he's ready.
Oh,
But
show.
but damn, man, it's good sitting down and talking to you guys. I can see John. He's like, I just started working again for the last couple of days, and I'm still on vacation mode. I'm about ready to hit the rack.
Right.
been tough.
Yeah. I feel like I just got back from Wisconsin and I'm leaving again on Sunday. So luckily looks like I'll have pretty much all of July and August with no travel. So that'll be nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and I got Dallas this weekend. Oh, and let's see here. I've got 3 days of growth on my face, so go ahead and get your fucking licks in right now, boys. Hopefully, I'll keep using the minoxidil and get some of that Viking beard product under John's code. What's your code? We got to put that in the
Mad,
description.
yeah, for the Mad Viking.
Mad Viking, that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, we got to do that. So it might take me a full month before I have to go make my first purchase of the Mad Viking, John. I'll look to you for product advice.
I like their stuff. I think there's better stuff, but the stuff that I've got at home, I like it better, but it's twice as expensive. It's like more like a designer. This thing called Artius Man, and they've got this bay rum flavor that is just, man, it just smells like walking into a Kirkland's. You know what I mean? It just smells like
You
Christmas.
said flavor like you're eating it.
I know, right? I was like, wait, he's describing something that sounds very different than what it's
Was
supposed
it really worth interrupting me to make that jab?
Kinda, yeah.
You can do better. But no, I mean, but their stuff's very expensive. I mean, it's like you get 4 ounces of their beard wash for like $20-something or something. Like it's super expensive, but it's really good. It's really good shit.
kind of shit where you get mad if a drop goes into the sink. You're like, fuck, try to get the residue out.
They got really good shit, man. Their scent lasts like all day, and it really smells good. But the Artiest Man stuff, their stuff smells really good. It's just not as strong. It doesn't have that strength to it, but it's very good, pleasant stuff, and it works really well. And their stuff's very affordable. Now, like the shit I bought before when I first started growing a beard, I went to Walmart and bought their stuff, and it was like fucking trash once you start really getting into it, but I don't know. I just always had the opinion if I'm gonna grow a beard, I'm gonna keep it up, make it look nice, neat and nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this time I'm not gonna fuck with it, and I'm gonna grow it all one length instead of what I had going on last time. So we'll see what I get.
I'll roast you.
Well, you got a little head start. Go ahead and shave yours down to my length.
Oh my god, my chin's like here.
Oh, dude.
Like
That
I
was
would
what
look
weirded
so
me out.
strange.
The first week after I accidentally shaved it off, I'm sitting there and I'd walk into the bathroom in the hotel and I'd be like, why is my head so small? It was freaking me out.
I look at pictures of me now. Back before I grew my beard, I look at those old pictures and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? It doesn't even look like me. When I show
Dude, it was
people
a
my
solid
ID,
week.
my driver's license, Georgia had 10-year driver's licenses. And
Now, see, John, you have to regale us now with the story of the time you were in Afghanistan and decided to ask Dave Roberts what he thought about your beer dye job.
yeah, so I had started out getting a couple of grays, just like right here. And so I got
Did you do the Afghan red?
But so no, it was just I had some gray coming in right here. I had like, I don't know, 8 or 10 hairs at the time. And so we were over at the PX one day and they got this just for men, and I'm looking at it and it's like only attached to gray. That's what it sounded like, like it only targets the gray. I'm like, well, this is a great idea. So I brush that shit into my beard and get it all combed in real good. And I'm sitting there reading the directions. I'm like, this ain't too bad. Okay, all right, let's go wash it out. I wash it out and I get out of the shower and dry off. And it looked like you put fucking spray paint on my face. I mean, it was like a 530 credit score black. You know what I'm saying? It was like daddy went to get milk, never came home black. You know what I mean? Like mama's the only one in the fucking house. That's how black this motherfucker is. I can do all that because my best friend's married to a black lady. So I'm cool by proxy. But no, man, I mean, it was like, I swear to God, it looked like you took fucking black modeling clay and made this fucking beard out of it. You know what I mean? So I go to Dave Roberts, and I knock on his hooch because I knew it was fucking coming off the moment I saw it. I go to Dave, and he opens the door, and he goes, "What the fuck is that?" So I'm in there and
It's always the worst when you have to shave your beard because of a self-induced mistake.
oh, it's terrible.
When you make the decision like, oh, I'm gonna shave it off, it's like, oh yeah, I can dig this clean shave look. But like when you're sitting there and you're trimming and you take a big old chunk out and you're like, shit, I can't recover. Then you're just like, then you hate it. You dye your beard and it looks like shit and you have to shave it off. You fucking hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was nuts.
It's always weird when you feel that air hit your face the first time. You're just like, oh, that's what that feels like.
Oh yeah, well, that was kind of chilly. I need a little scarf.
My wife put that nair on my back and shoulders when I went home. And it looked like you killed a fucking squirrel in the shower with a hammer.
I was gonna say, how fucking hurry are you?
And so I put a shirt on, and I'm like, "What the fuck is that feeling? Like it's so weird." Usually there's a blanket between me and the shirt, you know.
Swishes down like that green little astroturf.
I walk and it looks like a bunch of little puppies fighting under a blanket. It's not that bad, but yeah, I got a lot back here.
Oh shit!
You'd never really think it though, just looking at me, you know, like.
Yeah.
No, there's no way his testosterone level's high enough for that.
Right? Oh shit.
Well,
I think my food just got delivered, so I think I'm gonna sign off of here.
Talk to you soon.
So,
talk to you.